Oh, it's lovely that voice, isn't it? Recording in progress. It makes us sound very important and like something's going to happen that's really serious. So welcome everyone. It's so great to have you with us, and welcome everyone that might be listening back or watching back as well. I'm Jane Williams. I'm the Participation Director at New Perspectives Theatre Company. For a visual description, if anyone would like it, I'm a white ginger woman with long hair, wearing glasses. I'm in my box room with a background of mainly white walls and posters from previous shows. Um, we're going to spend an hour together. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to give you a PowerPoint presentation, which hopefully isn't boring. And also, we're going to give space for questions. There's no time, sadly, to introduce yourselves, but please do introduce yourselves to each other in the chat. The chat won't go out to anybody else, but we'll obviously look at it afterwards as well, so we can see who everybody is. So please get on with that if you fancy doing an intro to each other in the chat. Hopefully the chat's enabled to everybody. The captions are enabled, so if you'd like to see those, please press on from your end. And I suppose we'll kick off. Just check that we're recording. Yes, we are. I will hand you over to our Artistic Director and CEO, Angharad Jones, to tell you a little bit about what New Perspectives is.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's really lovely to see some familiar faces and brilliant to see some new faces as well. So welcome. My name is Angharad, and I'm the Artistic Director and the Chief Executive of New Perspectives. I'm actually the fifth artistic director of this brilliant organisation, so very much a custodian. There's been a great, brilliant legacy for 50 years before my time, mainly made up of men. So it is a nice change to have us all women as a female artistic director, which I'll always take pride in saying with a loud voice. New Perspectives was set up in 1973 by some students out of Bretton Hall University and drama school, sorry. And it has been through such brilliant transformations, but the core of New Perspectives has always remained really true to how it started off. And that is about storytelling, that is about new writing, that is about the legitimacy of what stories we see on our stages. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about what that looks like for us in 2026 now. So we have three main strands to the organisation and the activities that we do now. And I'll talk briefly through those because really those three pillars encapsulate all that we do and actually feed in and out of each other a great deal. So firstly, starting and saying we are a theatre company. Of course, I'm sure everybody knows that. And we do production and touring work. I'll admit. Um, we actually do two productions a year. It used to be four historically, and due to kind of the nature of the economic climate that we're in and things costing so much, it has been reduced, but it's real quality work. We commission new plays, and that can be by upcoming and emerging writers. Don't know how we all feel about that word. Mid-career playwrights and also established writers as well. So the whole gambit. And what we're really looking for is just quality new plays. Like I said, we do two per year. And these go on tour. Some of them go and visit traditional theatre spaces around the country. So a lot of studio spaces. And a lot of our work goes out into non-traditional theatre spaces as well. So village halls, community centres, working men's clubs. That's the other way you say it. But civic spaces, I suppose, spaces that don't have to have an auditorium in there, and that work's really important to us. So it is about making sure I think we've got a bit of a USP at New Perspectives. We exist very much within industry. So I mean the theatre industry. So touring to those venues, doing London runs of plays, capitalising on the brilliant plays that we make in Nottingham. And then obviously the other hybrid working where we are visiting art centres and community spaces as well. In terms of the sorts of work that we commission, it is really varied. I sometimes it's about the artist, sometimes it's about the play, sometimes it's a mix of all of it. When programming the season of work or the work that New Perspectives is going to be doing, sometimes it is about thinking, what do we think is going to speak to our audiences? And when I say that, I mean things that maybe have regional relevance. So a lot of people who know New Perspectives work over the years, and in my tenure as well, will probably know that a lot of the work is set in the East Midlands, but it's not exclusively set in the East Midlands. But it often is in conversation with something that we feel is relevant or resonant to East Midlands audiences and things that we can relate to. And I would say that a lot of the work that I'm drawn to is quite steeped in sense of place. Just trying to think back over a few productions to give examples of our most recent production, The Woman, which I don't know if some people saw. That was a new play by writer Jayne who is a Nottingham-based writer. Well, Long Eaton, so we can sit between Derby and Nottingham on that one, but we love the whole region, so there is no bias there. And The Woman came to us as kind of like a howl of a play that was a kind of exploration of motherhood and writing and creative process. And it was a real creative process to get that script as well, production ready, which took a number of years. And then that opened as a co-production with the Royal and Derngate this time last year, did a regional tour, and then went to the Park Theatre in London for 5 weeks. So that's our most recent show. Prior to that, we've done a brilliant show called Model Village. I won't go and explain what all the shows are about because I'll be here all day and I'll ruin the timing. But everyone could go back and look at the past productions on our website and have a good gander into it. Model Village is actually one of the pictures that you see on the screen in front of you now, and that was a rural touring show. We also worked in partnership with another theatre company called Pentabus on a musical about the post office scandal that did Omnibus Theatre in London and a rural tour and other theatres as well. Other shows, we did one called We Need New Names. That was an adaptation of a Zimbabwean novel by a brilliant writer called Mafaro Makabika, who is Nottingham based as well. And prior to that, New Perspectives had just done brilliant work before I came into post and during the pandemic, when everybody was working out how do we stay connected with our audiences in such difficult times. I didn't work for New Perspectives, but I definitely received the postcards that they were sending out and enjoyed keeping together with the organisation. And a WhatsApp drama was made. So it was really just like, how do we stay connected? Because ultimately audience is everything. We make this work, and there's only a cyclical relationship in all the development we go through when it hits an audience. So that's production and touring. And I will say, just to highlight on here, the picture that you see of brilliant actors, Dwayne Hannibal, the one before Jayne, of Dwayne and Abby. And Abigail actually was one of our new associates and come through. And what you will hear through our presentation, if you want to call it that, is the cyclical thinking around what we do at New Perspectives and how all the activities do feed into each other. And I hope that will come through. But if anyone's got further questions about that, I'm happy to look at that. So Abby, you can see on the photo, was a new associate, and then I cast her in Model Village for the rural tour. So I guess what I want to say is that the scheme that we're here to talk about today is a year long, or 10 months. But the relationship with the organisation is so much greater than that. And we are looking to advocate for artists and show real routes to employment and routes to opportunity throughout all the work that we do. So that's a bit on production touring. Jayne will let me know if I've missed anything key. And then we move on to another brilliant scheme called Open Pitch. And Open Pitch is designed to support people who don't necessarily, we probably call them artists, who don't necessarily label themselves as artists or call themselves artists or see themselves as artists, but people who are just have a brilliant story to tell, a unique voice, and all we do in that is support somebody to tell the story that they want to tell in the way that they would like to tell it. And that can look like a huge gambit of outputs. And just going across the pictures that I've got here, and there are a lot others that aren't on this picture, I'm afraid, but we've got Anne Hill, 86, 86-year-old lady from Mansfield who wanted to write her first book. So we helped her make the book, and it was published, and it's called Miss Sherwood Forest. And then the wonderful, I've got three pictures here because he deserves it. The wonderful Bob Seadog, who really sadly is no longer with us. And my first day at New Perspectives was turning up to go work with Bob Seadog, and that was brilliantly crazy and creative and wonderful. I sort of didn't know what I'd stepped into because it's a real world. Bob is a performer. He was poorly at the time that we worked with him, and he's sadly died since then. And this was the last project that he worked on with us. And it was, Jayne, correct me, he worked on a life in the day of a pretend lighthouse keeper. Have I said it correctly? Oh, good. And that, that was a really special project. And then we've got Elsie Tanner, New My Nana. So that was another show where someone's grandma had been writing to Elsie Tanner from Corrie and had all these correspondence. So that was made into a little show. We've actually got we've got Darren on the line, haven't we? Who's currently working with us in Open Pitch as well. And I can't see you all. So yeah, Darren, you're here. You're working currently with us on Open Pitch. We're working with Darren to create a audio recording of a brilliant play that he's written. And so the idea, again, as I was saying, being that these can work in tandem together. So some people come to Open Pitch, we help them, support them to do a project, and then they might think, well, I don't ever want to do anything artistic again. Or they might think, actually, that's an unlock something, and I would like to either put myself forward to new associates. Usually people end up just coming and sort of having a cup of tea with us all the time and being a nice regular fixture in the office, and we love that as well. What I will say is Open Pitch is important on a number of levels. It is important because it actually builds our audiences. There's people who engage in the Open Pitch program that then become people who come and watch our shows that maybe wouldn't have come and watched our shows, wouldn't be our natural audience members, but now we're kind of lifelong supporters of it, as we are of them as well. What else important? It's important to recognize that creativity is everywhere, and that we know that, people there is, careful my word, it's been recorded. There is some elitism, I think, in terms of who gets to tell the stories on the stage and what stories we see, and kind of gatekeepers into that area as well. So this is kind of just trying to address that a little bit. But you get the whole gambit of brilliant outputs. We had another show called The Road to Sandra, that was about a road digger, Mark Preston, a city council worker by day who digs the roads, but he is Sandra by night, this brilliant drag artist, and raises hundreds of thousands of pounds for charity. So his story was really worth telling as well. And Jayne leads on that as well and really supports these artists and these talented people in our communities. So that's Open Pitch. Have I missed anything on that, Jayne?
Superb. Sorry for the clunky slides. It's playing up a bit, but should we move on? Should we go
Yeah.
on?
Yes.
Yay.
And then we come to new associates, and then I will let Jayne take over, but just to kind of square the circle. You can't square a circle, can you? New Associates is our talent development program. I know you all know that because that's why you're here. That's the information you've come to find out more about. And we are so proud of this program. And I especially, coming in, I'm really proud. Jayne and I have both been freelance my history is that I set up a theatre company very naively and young out of university called Fifth Word, but it's still doing brilliantly now. And we collaborate, but I very much know that journey of trying to start up a theatre company in this region, publicly failing many times, publicly succeeding many times, and all the host of messy joy that can come with that. And I think so. I understand what I needed to hear from the organisations in the area, from other artists in the area that would support. And sometimes even just people saying, no, we can't do that, we can't support that. That was enough as well for me, just to have real transparency. So I think what I'm trying to say is I think the talent development is a really important strand of our work. There were certain champions for me, and I don't think I'd be in the position that I am without them. And New Perspectives was one of those champions for me as well. My journey was that um, I got some money from the Prince's Trust and I got some headed letter paper and some business cards because that's what we did when we had money, and I've still got loads of them at home. But I also came to organisations, and New Perspectives was one of them, where I came to ask for advice, and I was doing loads of community work. I wasn't making my theatre work pay. I wanted to address the balance. And the current artistic director there, two artistic directors ago, Daniel Buckroyd, now runs the Garrick in Lichfield, sat me down at the same table that we still have 16 years ago and gave me a bit of support. And so I appreciate the support I got from New Perspectives at that point. And I think that is something that just needs to sit through the whole ecology of the organisation. And we will talk a bit more about routes to employment through that as well. I'll pass to Jayne now, I think. If that's all right with you, Jayne.
Oh, very much. Brilliant. Yeah, I think it is really relevant, isn't it, Angharad, to talk about who we are, where we've come from, to see whether anybody on the Zoom call actually wants to apply. Because yeah, we're very passionate about this talent development program. We're very proud of it. And so I was freelance for 25 years before this became a job with a salary and bank holidays and all that stuff. So I know the hustle. I know what you have to do in order to stay afloat being freelance. Granted, 25 years ago, nearly 30 years ago now, you didn't have to pay as much for your rent and bills and stuff. So it's really difficult. But we know how we've had to get through all of that. I come from a working class background, and I've been financially independent since the age of 17. So I've managed to scrape through. You're never going to become rich in this industry unless you're probably one more of the celebrities. But we do know how to financially support each other and how to gain income for your talent and skill. So we hope that comes across throughout the programme. So let's see. So hopefully you can all see the words, but if you can't, I mean, I probably won't do that boring thing of telling you what's right in front of your faces, but just to give you an overview. So New Perspectives is for early to mid-career artists. We added mid-career a little while ago because we started having applications from people that we were like, hang on a minute, they kind of are 10 years into their career. They kind of are kind of sorted and they kind of know what they're doing. They've made a bit of a name for themselves. But then they've applied with something that's completely different to what they already do, and that they needed support almost as an early career aspect of that discipline. And so we changed it to early to mid, and we mean any age with that. I think sometimes you don't know it till you see it. So a few years back, we had people that were on the group that were in the 40s and then later in their 60s. So people realised that we didn't have an age cap, even if we never said an age cap. I think sometimes people think a talent development programme is for the younger ones. We welcome anyone of any age at any stage of their career. It's a broad range of disciplines that we're looking for because we have had some really great successes in terms of collaborations across the year and beyond. So that does narrow down the opportunities a little bit because we have had bigger groups in the past, but we're tending to keep now to a good sized group of 12. And so that narrows down the opportunities because if we have two actors, two writers, two performers, and this isn't the length and breadth of the disciplines that we've worked with. We've worked with people who specialise in clown, we've worked with performance poets who want to make a longer form piece of theatre. But we are a theatre company, so if there's anything that if you focus in circus skills and that sort of thing, we probably haven't got much experience to help you with there. So we are looking for artists of a discipline from a live performance perspective, but that can come from anywhere and anything. We're looking for people that are strongly connected to the East Midlands. We are funding for talent development supports people in the East Midlands, so that's one of the reasons why. But the other reason is that we are committed to the East Midlands and we're committed to supporting artists who want to make work for East Midlands audiences. Also, it's easier to get to us because a lot of the sessions happen, which I'll talk about later, in Nottingham, where we're based. And whilst we understand a lot of artists move to London for opportunities, it's sometimes harder to get to us to be part of the group. So it is from living in or working in or strongly connected to the East Midlands. Interpret that as you will. Um, we're also looking for artists who've kind of started their career. We've had applications in the past from people who are still in education until May or June or July, and often that cuts them out from the start of the programme, therefore they don't find the momentum. So we do really want, whilst we understand you might be training, but you might have already started your career before that. And that doesn't mean anyone that's, you don't have to have earned money from your career so far. It's just you've found a starting point, but you've identified what you need to do. Maybe it's a barrier that you need help removing in order to get to the next phase. And then it's clearer as to what support we can offer you. Um,
Just to add, sorry, Jane, just to go back to that slide, can you go back to the one
oh,
were
hang on.
on? Yeah, the other one.
That's it.
Just to say from recent examples as well, echoing everything Jane said, and same with that early to mid career, there's a few things that have come up with that as well. So some people can fall out of the industry a little bit for a while, and I'm super aware of that. And that can be reason for many different reasons, whether it be like chronic illness or motherhood, parenthood, sorry. Or that there has been a change in circumstances, which means their career has stalled or is a stasis. So we felt like we really just need to acknowledge that people have different life circumstances and different life moments that can be real pinch points, where people have been on a trajectory and things have either just halted or not been able to move forward in the way they wanted. So, and that can feel quite important as well for some people as well. And also the idea of this question about East Midlands base, living, working, I think we've been really clear in terms of the wording on that. But so we do prioritise those who live or are based in the East Midlands. However, on a lot of the cohorts, there have been people that aren't always, and that's because we're not dictators in a way that we need you to choose where you're spending your life. People get jobs and they get opportunities, and we don't ever want to feel like we're clipping people's wings either. People are allowed to fly from the region, and we still want to be there um as to support East Midlands originating artists. So it's always balancing. There's always a priority for those, like Jane said, who can access that work sort of geographically and are there for the peer network. But it does not exclude if you're worried about that being your circumstance. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. That's brilliant. Yeah, more clarity, always welcome. Equally as well, if you're from a working class background, you might have had a life working in other areas and not had the opportunity to really dig into your talent and art. So yeah, really, we do listen and we're open to any circumstances. Um, Right, let's just rattle through this. It's all on the website, but hopefully it'll be a bit more interesting hearing us talk about it. There's a main framework of the programme that we've found has worked really well in the last sort of 5 years. And so, in terms of what your commitment might be, and just for transparency, there are no bursaries on this programme. We are fundraising for that to be a potential in the future, but we are a very small charity. So we are really punching above our weight in a lot of ways. We did a research report last year where I connected with loads of different talent development producers across the nation, and most of them were connected to venues that have £1 million, a lot more turnovers. And so we do feel like we offer as much as we can. It is about giving up your time for free, but we make sure that everything is covered, travel, if we're on a go see it, it'd be tickets, that sort of thing. So to rattle through what the main framework is, so there's 4 full day. I can't think of any other word for masterclasses. I need to do better. But full day sessions with a brilliant artist from the industry who facilitates a brilliant day at New Perspectives in Basford 4 times a year. And we usually choose who that person might be based on the interest from the group, but also based on who we think might be really great to have in a room, people that you might not necessarily get access to, but also people we might know that we know which will give a really fab session. We have 4 go see theatre trips, so we try and go together to see stuff so that we can develop our interest and conversation around the sort of work that we're interested in. They're usually in venues across the East Midlands. And we have 10 monthly industry discussion Zooms where we meet on Zoom. We do different times for each cohort. So last year it's been early mornings. They've responded well to that. Sometimes it's at lunchtime, sometimes it's in the evening. It depends about caring responsibilities, all of that. We just make sure that it fits the majority of the availability of the groups. But that is about us chewing the fat over what's happened in the industry across the month. And as you can imagine, there's probably a lot to chew. We also invite industry guests as well. To speak at those as well. So there's also 10 one-to-one professional development sessions, and that can be in person or in Zoom, and that's always to fit your schedule. And these are really important because it helps me, and obviously Angharad does them as well. But early doors, it really helps me to understand how to build the program around you. So it might be that you have applied and we focus on what the application is and how we can help execute what it is that you want to achieve. But also then things might change. You might meet somebody on the cohort and go, actually, I'm a writer and this is a producer and now we want to work together. Is there any advice on how we can move forward? Can we apply for funding? That sort of thing. So those conversations are really important in order to build the bespoke program around you as individuals. Even though we've got this framework that could be a one size fits all, we always make it fit the individual as well. And then there's a weekly WhatsApp group, which everyone says is brilliant, where basically I've got loads of opportunities thrown at me and I find them, and that's for other paid work with other national organisations. We often get sent stuff before it goes public, so that goes on the WhatsApp group. And it's also funding opportunities, lots of things that we usually find that would probably take you as a freelancer loads of time to gather together as a piece of information, but because we're paid to do a job, we'll do it for you. So that's the main framework of the program. I'm sure you'll have loads of questions about this when we get to the question bit, but I'll move on. Additional opportunities that have come out, access to rehearsal space. We've got brilliant Connor Wilkinson in the studio at New Perspectives right now, working in this space, so we can offer up to 5 days. We do rehearsals there ourselves. We're on a business park on Park Lane in Basford. It's a bit of an odd place to be as a theatre company, isn't it, Angharad? But because we don't have a venue to look after, we also don't have some of those overheads that come with that. And we're a small team. We're quite nimble. We can be quite flexible and responsive to you and your work. So that's a benefit in some ways. But we do have a good size space. Tailored support on a particular project or skill. We've often supported with some dramaturgical advice on scripts if new associates should ask. We've got expertise across the team. We're only 4 full-time members, but we've also got 4 part-time members of the team. So there's 8 of us in total with hundreds of years worth of experience, not to say that we're all ancient, but we can offer lots of other areas of expertise as well. We've got Carrie, our marketing manager, on the call for any kind of marketing, PR, social media sort of public relations kind of thing. If you've got a tour going on or if you want to promote yourself, some advice might come from there. Participation, I can do that. With my eyes shut. Artistic leadership. We don't just want a talent development program to be about freelancers maintaining as freelancers if that's not what they want to focus on. We also support with developing a company. Angharad created Fifth Word. I've co-created 2 companies, inclusive theatre companies. One is an MPO now that we work with in partnership called Unanima. And so we've got stuff in our brains rattling around that we can share with you, nuggets of knowledge that, and probably we've done it the way that we'd learned that you didn't need to do it that way, so we can help you to not do it that way, help you to not make the mistakes. We've probably made them all for you. Um, there's also invitations to company rehearsals and additional participatory events. So often we have at the start when Angharad's rehearsing a play, we'll have the whole company in, but also we'll invite some new associates as well, and you'll be able to come and shadow if you want to, if you're interested in that process of making a play. We also invite new associates to board meetings, and I sometimes say board has to be spelt the B-O-A-R-D way, not the B-O-R-E-D way. I think New Perspectives board meetings are really quite interesting. I learn new stuff every time, and they're quite dynamic and fast paced. So it isn't boring, but it is really interesting because whenever do you ever get to go into those moments? We're very transparent, sometimes at a fault, I think, Angharad. We're happy to share budgets and things like that. We never hold on to information because we feel like we want to fling the doors open and not be gatekeepers, as Angharad mentioned earlier.
Can I add to that? I know that some people don't always kind of sign up to that governance aspect of it, but I really do believe that you sort of blink and the future is here. So artistic leaders, I feel like I was around my peers for a long time and I've blinked I'm running New Perspectives. Other people are running buildings or running organizations who I was kind of like making work and talking to at the time and networking and not knowing what we were doing. I really believe that the future of artistic leadership can sit within these programs as well. So it is very much a creative art form, but and application. Um, but I just kind of always encouraging people to take up those offers. They're not always taken up as quickly or as readily, and understandably so for some people. Some people have no desire to work in leadership, but I kind of want to advocate for it. And to echo what Jayne said, that and as well, we are really open. I think
You
we're
always say, don't you, Angharad, that give you a minute, but you do hope that the next artistic director may come from the new associates program in the future.
We've got two new associates that have one's now left, like rightly so, because everything should be moving, everything should be fluid. We've got a new associate from two cohorts ago that is on our board now, because you see the inside of it and you shape the decisions that are making. It's not for everyone, and it doesn't exclude you at all if you're not interested in that. But I guess I'm just an advocate for that because that sits in my realm as well. And I want, and just in terms of that being open, I think one of the hardest things sometimes is just feeling like either your questions are stupid or you think you should know something. And we are there to kind of just be that go-to when you don't know a question about a contract or what it means, or you're unsure of this or that this is a safe space to have those conversations.
Thank you. So rattling through, you've all read that. Support with Arts Council applications. So I've just supported on 10 R&D fund time limited applications, which close tomorrow. So I'll be chuffed, but also I'll be keeping my fingers crossed for everyone. So there are routes into employment. That we're a very small company, so we can't say that we can offer a paid work for everybody at the end of the new associates program, but we have worked with loads of different new associates alumni on productions as actors for R&Ds. Abigail, as Angharad mentioned at the top, Abigail Pigeon was in our 50th year anniversary celebratory tour, Model Village. We've also worked with new associates as assistant directors and associate directors and stage management and access consultancy. So wherever we find an opportunity to employ freelancers outside of the main team, we do always look to the new associates and the alumni, previous new associates first. In terms of supporting routes into employment where you contract yourself, we've supported over the last 5 years to raise £800,000 for new associates to create projects themselves. So that's mostly me being tenacious about Arts Council being public money that's available to all. And they do, believe it or not, actually do want to diversify their funds and make sure that everybody's in the making. And so our relationship manager, Renata, who's spectacular, does come to those industry Zoom sessions and talks with you and often gives advice that really opens up the opportunity for fundraising. And so we support on that whole journey. Um, Other opportunities as well. We're often in rooms, Angharad's, I think you're off to an awards ceremony tonight, aren't you? Playwriting awards ceremony or something. But we're often in these rooms where we can talk about people and what you're up to. And so, knowing what you're up to and that sort of thing. And that often comes outside of the new associates realm as well, if we think there's a really exciting artist in the East Midlands. And so we're often advocating in different rooms where I suppose artistic leaders are invited, which is a little bit cynical, maybe, because then it's a gated room. But we do advocate for talent, and
About being sitting comfortably in those rooms as well. But I will say it's hard with the alumni getting greater and greater because I'm trying to name drop in every room I've got and I can't get through 80 anymore. So I've got to be a little more specific of what people are looking for. But I will say that advocacy, advocacy, advocacy. When I'm in these meetings, these award ceremonies, I'm always saying this is our cohort of new associates. This is what they're up to, awareness, and sometimes just some of those link ups or knowing who might be best fit to have conversations with, I think, are kind of other benefits that come from the program that aren't necessarily in that formulated list that we saw.
yeah. Let's crack on. So, what's the decision-making process? That's probably on all the forefronts of your minds. It's really tough. We had nearly 80 applications last year, and sometimes people apply on several occasions, and we really have to build it around, and you can chip in anytime, Angharad, to help with this. So, we do read and watch or listen to, because you can apply in different formats. We'll go on to that later. Every single application, and that there's three of us that do that. So we then have a long list and then a short list, and we're having to try and reflect the full diversity of the society that we live in, and that does include geography. So, as we've mentioned before, we might have more applications from Nottingham, we might accept more applications from Nottingham onto a cohort, but we do want to make sure that Northamptonshire doesn't get overlooked, and all the different areas and the pockets, and also people who might be in the rural areas that might not necessarily feel as connected to the cities. And so obviously, with ethnicity, disability, class, we're always looking for everybody from every community to be represented within that realm. And so that does narrow down opportunities in some ways, because if we're looking at disciplines, as mentioned before, we might have two writers on the cohort, but we might have applications from 20 odd that we're really interested in. Sometimes it comes down to what we think we can deliver as well. And we always offer feedback. We always do that via Zoom or an email, depending on what the applicant would prefer. And I suppose the nuts and bolts of it is it closes on the 9th of March at midday. What does midday mean? Is that 12 o'clock?
Yeah, noon. Some people put
Noon. As soon as the cockerel
books. Just
cockerel
to
crows.
highlight that, this is hard. This is brutal, actually. I know it's brutal for people applying. It's brutal for us as well, because there is, without a shadow of a doubt, a list where we're just like frustrated by the amount of applications versus the amount of places. And like Jay said, it's a balancing decision. I know that's a difficult word because it's one that Arts Council use when they've got no money. But balancing of geographic area, balancing of artistic discipline, and balancing of broad range of people, as Jane mentioned, that does include things like protected characteristics, representation. That's what the balancing comes down to.
Yeah, and whilst we don't want to sound like those ones that go, oh, it's such a shame because we should be able to have everybody. We've had groups of 20 in the past and just felt like actually we need to make sure that we can offer as much to each individual. And so there's probably 12, maybe 13 spaces open for this next round. Let's rattle on how to apply. So you can apply through video, sound ancient, a film clip of yourself, about 10 minutes, answering the questions. Here's the questions. Tell us about your current creative practice and relevant recent experience. That's you, your biog, what you've been up to. It's like 300 words, so we're not looking for massive novellas, but we're really interested in you. Tell us why this opportunity is of interest and what you hope to get out of the programme. So I guess hopefully you'll know a bit more about the programme from being here with us or watching it back. Um, it really helps us with an application if you know how we can help you and you can communicate that to us because it really builds a picture of how we can do that. You might not necessarily know that at point of application, but if you know what you need help with, then we can fill in the blanks. Tell us about an idea or a project or a skill that you might want to develop whilst you're a new associate and how we might be able to support that. So it might be you want to make your first funding application, or it might be that you want to make your fifth funding application. It might be that you really don't want to touch funding applications and you just want to have a bit of space in a room, or you want to find a collaborator. It might be that you want to soak up some experience from members of the New Perspectives team, or it might be that you want to feel more connected to other artists in the East Midlands. There are a myriad of reasons,
Yeah,
and
or it
we
could be for a
support.
specific project. I want to write a play about this and I can't quite get over the line, or I want to devise a work about this. It could, yeah, or the
Yeah,
whole, whatever's
yeah.
going on for you at that moment.
Yeah, so don't feel like you've got to create a project because you think
Yeah.
that's more of a clear thing that we can support. If it's, whatever it is, it's about that next stage of your career that, and if you've got a project, that's brilliant as well. So hopefully it's all. I did a practice run of the application where I applied as a professional ginger. Hopefully I'll get a spot, but we'll see. So yeah. I think it's fairly simple, but please just get in touch with us if it's clunky or if there's any access requirements that we can support with. If you do decide to apply after we've rattled at you for all this time, so that's the final page. I'm going to stop sharing now so I can see everybody if my middle-aged brain will allow me to. And when I stop sharing, I'll just remind you that we're recording and it'll go public. So please keep your cameras on if you want to, but you don't have to. This is the bit where you can ask questions. Put something in the chat if you'd rather not speak, or speak up. Wave at us with your real hand or wave at us with a digital one, but just try and alert our attention and we'll try and answer as many questions as possible. If we don't get time to do them right now, we will do them after and email you or something like that. So I'll just check in the chat. Uh, I'll keep the chat on. I'll try and do a multitasking job. Uh,
Oh,
Roisin? Roisin has a question. Did I
yeah.
say your name right?
Yes, yeah, Rishi. Yeah, that's all good.
Right,
Brilliant.
Jane. Hiya.
Hi guys. That's all. Yeah, thank you so much. This course has been so helpful and really enjoyable. Yeah, my question is basically yes, you said so like writers, actors, directors, etc. can apply. So when we do the application, because like for example, myself, I'm predominantly an actor but also a writer.
Yeah,
But is it when we're sort of essentially like pitching ourselves and doing the
yeah.
form, should we sort of solely focus on one thing and sort of obviously say what all the things you do, but then sort of focus it on this? I would be applying. So me personally, I would be applying for it as an actor rather than from a writing angle, or can I do kind of like both? Like how sort of specific do I need to be?
I would give your whole self of us to, I would give your whole self. I would say that you are an actor and a writer. I think we all know that we have a lot of different strings to our bow, and I think there is a real, and I remember being quite frustrated by this many years ago, that kind of desperation for other people's kind of pigeonhole you being one thing.
Yeah.
Um, I think that will then come down to that sort of third question around what support you need. So if the focus is on that for a reason, I think that should do it.
Cool.
Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think we always want you to bring your full self. It's whenever I do the first one-to-ones, I always say, where do you prioritize which discipline? What's the thing, the
Yeah.
dream that you want to be doing? Because we're often doing things that are out of necessity to get the thing. I've done a lot of producing, but it's often just producing to get the work on. So yeah, it's bringing your full self, but telling us what you kind of would want to focus on. So I think what you've come with the question is spot on, Rasheen. I think you've got a good idea of what we want to hear. Um,
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Carrie, for putting in the chat that there is an FAQs thing on the website as well if you want to have a look at those as well.
I'm
I've got
seeing
a
it. Thank
question
you.
here. I've got a question here that's come through our executive director. from somebody that couldn't make it today. How many do you accept on the development program? So yeah, it's varied over the years. We've kind of settled on 12, but we won't be hard and fast with that rule. We'll keep it around 12. Do you have to have work in progress? You don't. I think hopefully we've identified that a skill or a thing that you want to dig into across the year with us. It doesn't have to be a project if you don't feel like you've got a project on the go. Is it suitable for someone like me who is a writer but has little experience of theatre settings? Absolutely. I've written and co-devised millions of plays. A lot of them haven't been on a stage, and that's been through choice. It's been about taking it to where people are. So yeah, you don't have to have been in a theatre setting to
And also,
create.
so we did to get, and I'm sure I'm allowed to draw on examples that we've had before because that's the best way we can do it. So we had a brilliant writer called Anna Mansell who was on our cohort, and she was very much a fiction writer, very much a novel writer, but wanted to try her hand within playwriting. So it was that step change idea in terms of actually having success on that level, but wanting to do the craft of theatre. And obviously, we felt we could support that.
Yeah, because I don't think we'd be able to offer much if it was helping someone to write a novel.
God,
Um,
Hi, it's Gail
no.
here, Gail Webb. Hi.
hello. Hey up.
Thank you very much. It's been very helpful. They were actually my questions that you just read out.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
I
oh,
couldn't
brilliant.
make
Gail.
it.
I didn't want, Sally did put your name. I didn't want to say it out loud in
Oh,
case.
no, no, no
Thank
problem.
you.
It's just that you'd already answered them, really. So thank
Oh,
you.
oh,
No.
brilliant. Thank you.
Helen Sullivan has a question.
I did have two, but I think you answered the first one with the first question about two different disciplines. And then the other one was in terms of, like, so hypothetically, if you were applying as a writer, if the project that you were interested in doing and that was outlined, how relevant is the actual subject matter of that project to to your decision? If that
Well, I
makes sense.
suppose sometimes, so for example, we had a cohort where we had a couple of artists that were musical theatre makers, and we don't traditionally make musical theatre. However, the year they applied, they didn't know this, but we were about to make a co-production, which was a play with songs. In the end, it was called, but it was, excavated as a musical theatre piece. So that meant that we did have an opportunity to help them throughout that year,
Mm,
but we're probably not a musical theatre company. So in
yeah,
some ways, we don't, we kind of know what Angharad's next season might be. It's not public yet, because there's a few, what do they say, T's to cross and I's to dot.
Ducks in
I
a row.
don't know. Yeah. And so I suppose sometimes you're applying not knowing what kind of productions that we'll be making and whether there's any synergy there. But I think it is really good to have a look at what work New Perspectives has done in the past. We're very well known over the 50 years for telling unheard stories and stories that perhaps feel a little bit challenging and radical. In the early days in the 70s of New Perspectives, plays were banned because they were perceived to be what we're trying to strive to achieve now. But back in the 70s, it was difficult subject matter maybe
yeah.
to put on stages. So yeah, I guess maybe have a look at the website. I suppose the programming changes with each artistic director as well, and so there's a taste
Yeah.
and a
And what I will say is that so much of it is taste. I don't think we're reading these app. We definitely not reading these applications with an eye of being like, this could be a New Perspective
Yeah,
show.
because it's not commissioned, is it? Yeah.
No, there might be a very gentle seed at the back of my brain that's
Mm,
way, way back there, thinking in the future. Well, I wonder if we have that hope for everybody that they will be commissioned or contracted or whatever it is in their art form by us or by somebody else. Um, so I think it has to be the thing that you want to make, not the thing that is going to please new perspectives, because I only have certain skills. We've all only got certain skills. I'm a director, I do new writing, but the amount of brilliant people that we've had on the cohorts who are sitting doing other disciplines that educates me, but I have information that is transferable
mm,
about routes to production, for example, whether that be a musical, a devised piece. Not all of these things are to my taste.
yeah.
But I think we can still provide the support to make that, because we're
Cool.
not always going to employ those people. So what we're trying to do is get you in the best position for your own work to take forward, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and
Thank you.
currently the focus isn't on making work for families and children, but we do want to see applications that if you're working in productions that might be for families and children, because we do want to support the whole length and breadth of those stories as well.
What I feel like I want to say, and it's not even a question, I just feel like it's important to me, is what I feel like we need to see, like we said, we're not doing people kind of in education, because I feel like this is for people who know where they want to go. They might not know how to get there, and that's fine, but just have the drive, um, and have also made some efforts to make that happen. How successful they are or not, I think we need to see this is who I think I am. These are the steps that I've taken myself to do this, and this is where I need the support.
Cool.
Does that answer?
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Sorry.
Anybody else? Does anyone want to just speak up or put anything in the chat, or I'm looking, my eyes are looking everywhere. If I miss you, just speak up. Any other questions? Were we that thorough? We've answered your questions before you've had a chance to have them. Anything anybody wants to add or say or share?
Rasheen, go again.
Sorry, it's me again. I got another
No,
question.
don't apologise. We
That's
love
really good. It's probably a
that.
question that everyone's thinking.
And I guess obviously there's like all the different like disciplines. It's sort of similar to my last question. I guess yeah, it's obviously because of that it's subjective, and again to like what projects people bring specifically. But you guys just saying obviously yeah, like it's not like an education. So if it was actors like specifically, what kind of, and again it will vary depending on the individual, but what kind of sort of things, and like yeah, like classes is kind of the wrong word I guess, but what sort of things
Yeah.
would you bring to conversation and discussion? And again, if you don't know, because I'm not giving a specific example for the individual, that's fine. But yeah, just kind of for that sense, what sort of things would be brought into the room? And yeah, again, it sort of depends, yeah, on the individual. But
In the spirit of transparency, actors I find hard on a lot of levels, but um, we absolutely do take actors. Actors are absolutely successful on the program, and we have had brilliant times. And like you see, it does transfer. Occasionally, I do have that same question: how do I best help this person? Because it's a very different beast to going for funding or writing your first play. You're having to be auditioned. Are you looking for an agent? It could be that there is support around. How do we help you sustain a career? What I will say about the actors is, and this, and I want to say this again, the peer network that can be created through of the cohort that is built is always screaming out for actors. They're always really useful people within that cohort.
yeah,
And I can see roots into that. We use a lot of people in like research and development workshops. They're my favorite type of projects when I'm delving into new plays and things like that. So a lot of actors that have come from the new associates, we do sort of not drag in, they want to come into those rooms to work on that. I would be quite clear of you looking at us as a company, go, how do I think you could help me? And if you don't know, that's okay as well, but it's about where you want to go, because it could be that I
yeah,
look at that and go, actually maybe she needs an agent. Oh, maybe she doesn't. uh, but I think it's fine for actors, but occasionally tricky to place.
yeah. That's there based on things that yeah, that's understandable because I get it. So yeah, within the context of everything that yeah, that makes sense.
But within the cohort, you have writers, you have producers, you have directors often, and hopefully we don't know what this one will look like yet. So I think the opportunities for actors within the peer network is quite great.
Yeah,
Anything to add on that, Jane?
Absolutely, yeah. And we've had actors that have come to us and said, I'm fed up of not getting or not seeing the roles that represent me. I feel like I need to write something for myself, but I don't know where to start. And off we go. We've supported on a DYCP that's just coming to an end, where the actors had loads of support from dramaturgical support to other actors like Julie Hesmanhalf off the telly box, who's done her own one-person plays as an actor because she got fed up of not getting the roles or not even seeing the roles written. So yeah, there's lots of other things, I guess, other reasons why an actor might want to apply.
yeah.
And with the industry Zoom discussions, again, this is where it becomes, when we know who the cohort is, we can make the bespoke program as well. So it could be that one industry Zoom session might be around representation, and we would bring in an agent to talk about, well, how do you go about that? What does it look like and what does it mean? Or it might be that we look at an industry Zoom, go from a casting agent who sits in auditions all the time, or myself as a director that does auditions, go, well, these are the things that I'm looking for, or these are the things that I'm not. And so it could just be that they're part peppered in into the program.
Yeah. And in terms of the framework, we're never going to please everybody, because you might have a session on producing and everyone's like, oh, I'm allergic to producing. I don't want to be at that session. But
Similar to directing.
but that's where the one-to-one sessions really help, because we can really get to know the artist, their work, what their aims and objectives are, so that we can be a bit more bespoke around each individual, as well as provide a framework that might support everybody.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Well, it's 29 minutes past. We did well.
Rihanna, get in there,
Rihanna.
Rihanna.
Just a really quick hi. Can you hear me all right? I've got some ear things that I've never used before. Fab, thanks. I was just wondering whether, because most of us will at some point need funding, if not now, what on an application would make you pick somebody that's asking for funding over somebody else that's asking for funding?
Well, there's a myth that I thoroughly enjoy supporting people to make funding applications, because I've done thousands of them. But like I said before, I'm tenacious about that, the diversification of those funds, and for people not to be. My fundraising journey started really early on, when I was taken to work with a group that had been working together for 3 years and never put on a production, and that was their desire. And I was like, hang on a minute, what's stopping us? And it's the money. It's always the money. So I've fundraised for other people over years, and then gone, why aren't I doing it for my own work? And then went on that journey. I feel like I delayed a lot by not being confident enough, or not feeling like I was worthy as someone from a working class background to be responsible for a load of public money and know how to spend it. So I think learning from those mistakes means that I'm tenacious about supporting on that. So it's always an open opportunity to everybody. DYCP opens up in April, as I'm sure we all know, or expect it will. And so that comes just at the time that this new cohort will be starting. So we can support on as many DYCPs as who wants to apply.
It won't make a difference, Rihanna, in terms of like, will someone who's asking for funding get it over someone else who's asking for funding? That bottom question is about what support. I think it's probably worth flipping to the other question, which is like, what is the exciting idea and who am I? And I think those are those things, because I can safely assume that the majority, but maybe not, or will want some support with funding, because we are all scrabbling around for money. So I don't see any competition within people sort of saying that at all. It will be more about perhaps as well whether we can really see that idea could be fundable, or that we can see a route to best help you get the money for it. I'm just going to does that answer your question, Rihanna?
It does, yeah, thank you. Yeah, just concentrate on the project and the thing I want to make more than just I want money.
I think
But yeah, feel free to talk about money though. If that's the barrier to getting it made, feel free to. We embrace everything.
And I see that as like routes to production, that that self-development. So it sits hand in hand with it if you want to get paid to do anything.
With
thank you very much.
Minutes.
Gail, in your question in the chat, do we need referees on the application? You don't. We will take you at your word. However, I was aware that there isn't a space actually in the form, which I might look at, to put a website about your work if you have one. So just in that section, just make sure that we've got the fullest details for you if possible. If you do have a link to an example of work that you wanted to put in that top question, then we will take a look at it if you wanted to, but that's not essential at all.
I guess just don't overthink an application as well, because give as much detail as you can. But I think sometimes we can all have a tendency to overthink, and then perhaps get to the stage of the closing date and then just not submit. But in
the spirit of this, there's no tricks. There's nothing that we're looking at to try and it's as genuine as those sort of three simple question.
And we do maintain a relationship with everybody that has maybe applied in the past. So we'll do the feedback and we'll come and see your work and we'll do however much we can. We're always, there's a wider participation responsibility that we always want to meet with that. So it's not like you've applied and we'll forget who you are.
And just to say, we have a real history within this program of people not always getting it first time. And I just really want to say that, because what often happens is when we do that feedback and during these sorts of sessions, you start to create relationship people. This is why we actually love doing sessions like this. We like doing the feedback, even if it's not, the decision that people want to hear, because it starts a conversation and that's how we get to know people and what they're making. But we've had a lot of people that don't get through the first round, don't get through the second time even, and then are in on the third, because it's a numbers thing. So we clock people we continue to have conversations with people if they haven't got on the cohort, and I just really want to make that really clear.
We're 3 minutes over, so we ought to let you go. Carrie's very brilliantly put in the chat links to followers, sign up to the newsletter on the website as well if you haven't already. You've all got the info at email address, which the link was sent through. So if there's anything that you didn't get a chance to ask or you think later, just send an email to that and we'll address all those as we can. I'm going to start recording now. So I'll say ta-ra to anyone that's watching back. Ta-ra.